Hello. So I apologise for being late and disrupting the entire meticulously planned timetable, but I'm here now and I'm going to be talking about a project which I've been working on for the last sort of 18 months or so called AirPi. So in the beginning, this was like October 2012, which seems millennial away now, but I just saw online this competition run by a company based just outside of Cambridge to invent something using a Raspberry Pi to make the world a better place. And to be honest, when I started, I was like, making the world a better place, that's quite a tall order for a sort of competition designed for students, like 13 to 18 years old or whatever. So we looked at the Raspberry Pi, and I hadn't actually used it before I entered this competition, and we thought about what we would want to make. And we wanted it to be unique to the Raspberry Pi. So firstly, it was easy to connect to the internet, unlike the Arduino. You didn't have to buy a separate shield or Ethernet shield or Wi-Fi shield or whatever. It's tiny, it's the size of a credit card, and it has the exposed connector for controlling electronics, which you can see at the sort of left of the Pi there. So we wanted to sort of use these features to create something. So, and also, yeah, super low power, so you could battery power or solar power it. So what did we build? We built a weather and air quality monitoring station. So we made use of each of the individual features in the Raspberry Pi. So it was small, so in total the weather station could be sort of fit in a box like maybe this big. It could use Wi-Fi very easily to connect to the internet and upload data. And in addition, it used very low power, so you could run it off batteries for a couple of days. It measured temperature, humidity, air pressure, light, UV, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and smoke levels, which are all sort of tangled up in the mess of wires on the left-hand side of that project. Anyone who's ever used a breadboard before will know my pain. So, and we also created a website to go along with it, which took data, so the Pi took data, uploaded it to the website, and then the website would automatically update in live real time using HTML5 WebSockets. Anyway, so post-competition, we actually ended up winning the competition. So we took the money which we earned from that and put it into sort of tuning the project a bit more. So this is not actually my photograph. This was taken by a guy down in South England somewhere, and we were forced to put instructions online. So he just found them randomly because we got a bit of publicity after the competition. And he built his own and used it to check whether the light in his fridge did actually go off when he turned it on. And yeah, you can see the Raspberry Pi among its distant cousins, the raspberry yogurt and raspberry jam. So yeah, we had a bunch of people start building their own AirPis. So there was, I think, a couple in Europe, a couple in America, and some in the UK. But it was still a pain to build because you had all of the cables which you had to connect meticulously to the right connectors on the GPIO, and like put one in the wrong place and you blow your entire Raspberry Pi up. It wasn't a fun experience. So this awesome guy in America, he just called us up, well, emailed us up, you know how it is nowadays, and asked us to let him design a PCB for us completely free of charge. So the only reason he was able to do that was because we'd open sourced all of the schematics and hardware, which we designed so far. So I love open source, and I think everything should be open source, but I mean, you know, I'm biased. So yeah, you can see how much simpler it makes the project. You don't have to connect wires anywhere after we had the printed circuit board, and yeah, it's just like plug and play rather than sort of tangle of spaghetti and play. So we decided that we wanted to make 20 kits for the London Mini Maker Faire, which happened sort of middle of 2013, summer 2013. So we put together 20 kits, and that was mostly using the money which we got from the competition. And we went there not fully expecting to do horrendously and sort of like have one person maybe wander past and say he didn't like the look of them, but then we actually ended up selling out. So we sold all 20 kits on the day, and we had some nice guys from the Raspberry Pi Foundation drop by and say they wanted one as well. Always reassuring. And then we also had an article on the front page of the Wired website as well, which was quite cool. But that was 20 kits, and then yeah, I'm a lazy person, so I just didn't do anything at all for after that. But I had sort of emails from people every sort of like couple of days, that they wanted to buy one of these kits because you could source all of the components yourself and then order the PCB yourself, but A, it would take ages because half the parts had to come from China, half the parts had to come from US, and the other half of the parts had to come from UK or Europe, and then yeah, you'd have to spend quite a lot of money because PCBs cost about sort of, well, this particular PCB would cost about 30 to 40 pounds if you ordered one or two of them, but when you're ordering like 100 of them, it costs like more like 1 or 2 pounds. So economies of scale and everything. People wanted to buy them from us where it'd be a bit cheaper. So one morning over the summer, I woke up and decided to Kickstarter style thing. I said we had to sell 50 of them, otherwise it wouldn't really make any sense for us to make them, and we had 2 weeks to do it. So when we used a small site called Kindy, which is designed specifically for selling sort of electronics, I would really recommend it to anyone. And then, so the first day we launched it, we had, just under 50 for the sort of first week, and then we got featured in the Raspberry Pi blog. Thanks, guys, if any of you are around here. And then, you might have been wondering why the axes on the graph were so big, but we ended up selling 250 of them by the end of the 2 weeks, and we sold about 300 after sort of a month, because we kept taking pre-orders after the fundraiser.
Was that really in 2009? Or was that the wrong year?
2009? Yes, it really wasn't in 2009. You're right. I've never actually looked at this. Blame Excel. So yeah, we headed to another Maker Faire. After the London one, we quite enjoyed it, so went down to Brighton and set up a little stand. We didn't actually have anything to sell at that point in time because we weren't particularly prepared. But we met someone who'd actually bought a kit, the London Maker Faire, sort of like a month or two earlier, and he was really supportive of the project, but he was telling us that we got quite a lot of stuff wrong. So he was telling us that the UV sensor doesn't work. Half the time it just reports 0, and the other half of the time it just kind of wanders about on its own accord. So, you know, had to try and fix that. And then also sensors sometimes provided a voltage that was bigger than the 3.3 volts, which the Raspberry Pi's, the ADC which we attached, could handle. So that led to sensors just sort of flatlining. And then, so we had to fix those problems before we sent out the 250, we decided, because otherwise we'd probably get quite a few complaints. So we had some unanticipated delays. PayPal froze our account, as they have done with many other Kickstarters and such like. It was partially due to the fact that I'm under 18, or was at that time. And then we had customs delays when importing parts. 25 days parts were held, waiting for God knows what. Royal Mail, I could go on about Royal Mail forever. But yeah. They don't actually support accents in addresses, so they don't support Unicode, they support ASCII text or whatever. And this is the 21st century. And also, this one actually didn't come back to bite us till sort of a month or two after we shipped, but they truncate all of the lines in your address to 20 characters. So this guy had the package returned and contacted the guy who it was supposed to be sent to, asking him if his address was correct. I took a photo of the package and he was like, no, sorry, I put my address as like street name and then 12 or whatever, but it had been cut off to street name 1 because they just chopped off the last character without telling me. So yeah, starting a company, opening a bank account. Starting a company is fine if you're under 18 because UK government says you could be 16 or older. But opening a bank account, pretty much 0% of banks in the UK will offer a bank account to anyone under 18. So I had to sort of bring my dad in as a co-director on the company, so that made it. And then the other thing which I didn't really bargain for, because I'd been a sort of software dude before this, bug fixing with circuit boards is quite a long process. So we ordered the first spin of boards, and it turned out that there was actually, we just ordered a couple of prototypes just to check, but it turns out there was actually an issue whereby none of the ADC connections worked, so none of the analog sensors worked, which was like all of them. So I had not bargained on the fact that it would take sort of 3 weeks to create another version, because you have to sort of order the boards, and in the volumes we were ordering, it took sort of maybe 10 days or something for the boards to arrive, and then you've got to sort of solder one together, and then you get to test it. Whereas if it's software, you can sort of just tap away on your keyboard and hit recompile. I hadn't bargained for that. So yeah, then you have to sell it. Yeah, dear seller, I ordered but you don't delivery. I wrote email but you don't answer. What's the problem? So we had a couple of complaints. So if any of you want to do something like this, I recommend keeping your customers updated, because I am notoriously awful at doing that. But it didn't turn out horribly. We ended up issuing about 5 refunds out of 300 sold. And we finally finished. It was quite a momentous occasion. It did happen to be sort of 2.5 months after we'd started selling them, but okay. So then, I want to just end on what do people actually use this thing for? Because this is a question that's been bothering me for a while, because it was like 250 of them are sold, but there's nothing that this does that couldn't be done by other things. It's just that it's slightly cheaper, or maybe it's slightly more portable, or maybe it's slightly more modifiable. So what do people actually use it for when they buy it? So 3 got sent to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam for air quality monitoring operation, because the government there are notoriously sort of unreliable when it comes to publishing data about air quality. Same as in China, actually. So in effect, they wanted to take it into their own hands and measure the air quality themselves. So we had one guy ask if he could monitor conditions in his server room. We had one bunch of people who wanted to record and sort of monitor temperature and humidity in archives where sort of old books and stuff are kept. And that's mostly because they have to be kept at very constant temperature. And the current devices which they're using are sort of these little things which you just leave there, and then you have to come around once a week, record the temperature and humidity, and then sort of imagine you have sort of 20 of these scattered around your archives. That's quite a lot of work. But if you had something like the AirPi which just uploaded it automatically to the internet every hour or so, that would be a lot easier. So yeah, schools, love schools. We've sent about 5 kits or so to different schools across the world, and they all seem to like it, because it's kind of a cross-disciplinary thing. You've got some electronics going on, and then you've got some software programming, and then you've got chemistry actually on the side with sort of measuring stuff. And we had some guys from Mumbai contact us to tell us that they wanted to install them in their vans. And then, we sold 15 to a Chaos Computer Club in Germany to teach children to solder. And so the second to last thing was I was looking at the referrers on our website, and I clicked on one of them which seemed a little bit interesting, and it turns out that to grow high quality marijuana you need extremely precise measurements of temperature, humidity and UV. So and then the last one, which I like even more, is this guy contacted us and he was like, we're looking to make it shockproof and send it up a tornado in Tornado Alley in USA. And I was just like, yeah. That's all I have to say for now, but if you guys have any questions or anything, comments, complaints, just ask.
Are you still actively working on the project?
I am, yes. Apparently, but I've taken a slight break, but right now I'm working on making 700 more to sell online, and I do actually have about 9, I think, to sell here if anyone's interested. I can't see what but...
I've got some plans.
So you use an open source software?
Yeah.
You mentioned Excel?
Oh no, Excel was just for me making that graph. All the software, all the hardware, that's the PCB layout, the schematics, absolutely everything is completely open source. You can download it from
Oh, yeah, I'll start doing it, don't worry, just
Yeah.
get under appointments.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
What's it programmed in?
The code for the AirPi is programmed in Python. So, except for one tiny little bit, there's one sensor which is the timing to communicate with it is quite critical, and Python's garbage collection means that you can't rely on its timing. So we had to create an extra program in C, which is then called from the Python program to connect to that sensor. But other than that, it's all Python, and it's all, as of a couple of weeks ago, modular. So if you want to add an extra output, so not just uploading to Xively it is right now, but uploading maybe to another service or storing it to a local file, you can create a short Python script that literally takes in data and outputs it wherever you want. You don't have to really mess around with all that much. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.